Reporting live from APEH Nation, China's Boxer Rebellion was the cause of lots of unnecessary harm and violence to specific people. It was a very significant event in history because it was an important demonstration of Chinese nationalism. Not only was it this, but it was also a crucial wake-up call to the nation. It resulted in the decline of China in a world status standpoint and was extremely detrimental to the imperial government. Let's take a look back at what exactly happened.
Thank you, Maggie. If you're not already caught up with the news nowadays, here's a brief explanation of what exactly went down. There was an increase in foreigners, which some Chinese were not happy about. In 1899, 2 Boxer members visited a German missionary in China and killed 2 priests there. As a response to this, the German leader at the time dispatched German troops to the crime, doing nothing but angering the Boxers more than they already had been. Other economic issues and disputes between the Chinese and foreign missionaries played a big role as well, such as the Opium Wars. But this was only just the beginning.
The Europeans developed new desires for raw materials and wealth during the age of new imperialism. Lots of mercantilism came into play when colonies started to function as markets for manufactured goods. A lot of new technology was being created and distributed, while colonization was bound in smaller areas. As for religion, there was a lot of Catholic and Protestant missionary activity which influenced a lot of the Boxers.
So, what's the damage? Well, the effect of this event, especially the new imperialism aspect, can be seen as either good or bad depending on your viewpoint. Political-wise, some government changes were made that reflected European traditions. Cultural changes caused people to convert their religions, and economic changes allowed for colonies to create resources and factories.
The Boxer Rebellion created rivalries between different ethnic parties as well as human rights violations. A great example of this was the Boxers' violence towards foreigners and Christians, which they thought showed their dedication to China. That is the epitome of nationalism, if you ask me. The Boxers showed most of their violence through the execution of Chinese Christians and missionaries. They also destroyed their churches, railroad systems, and other properties.
So basically what you're telling me is that the Boxers were both anti-Christian and anti-foreign?
Yes, they targeted the Chinese Christians and foreign emissaries whom they thought were attempting to colonize and take over their beloved China.
That's so crazy that it happened just 2 years ago.
Yeah, it all started in 1899 and went on for 2 years. Did you know that they got their name because of their devotion to physical activity and their use of martial arts?
That's really interesting. I never knew that, but I'm still kind of confused on how it all ended and what it affected.
Essentially, the Boxer Rebellion ended in China in 1901 after those being held hostage by the Boxers were liberated by multinational force that invaded the capital. After all of this violence, there's a protocol called the Boxer Protocol that was enforced. Such protocol said that the execution of 10 high-ranking leaders that supported the rebellion was required. And if that wasn't a lot, a payment of 450 million taels of silver was necessary for war reparations.
There's no way that the government wasn't affected by this whole rebellion, right?
Nope. In fact, the imperial government's defeat only weakened the Qing dynasty, which could lead to a potential overthrow of said dynasty.
Well, how do you think this will affect China in the future? Say like 2022.
It's hard to say, but based on my educated guess, it will be that the dynasty will be still facing the effects socially and the overall effects of the dynasty being weakened entirely. This created social tension between the Chinese and the foreigners because the desire to drive them out as a nationalist act could still be judged throughout in 2022. There may be social divisions between people of Chinese culture and travelers due to the events that took place in the previous events.
Thank you, Claire and Melody, for the informative information. It's all for today. APEH Nation, signing off.